The book that my group chose to read for this week was Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. Speak is a book that talks about a very sensitive topic for many people. Um, the book itself says it's a groundbreaking novel that changed everything, and it definitely is groundbreaking for that reason. It discusses rape and the effects of rape on an individual. Um, so Melinda's the main character, and her character goes through quite a transformation throughout the course of the book and in the events leading up to where the book starts. So basically, Melinda in middle school had this core group of friends. Everything was pretty much like awesome. Like she was a very happy person. And at the start of her freshman year, which is where the book begins, she's an outcast. And the reason why is because she called the cops on a party that she attended over the summer with her friends. But she didn't call them to bust the party. She called them because she was raped at the party by a super popular dude at the school named Andy, who she refers to as it in the book before they actually introduce his name. So there are a lot of themes that are touched on in this book that are characteristic of young adolescent literature. As I said before, a big theme is transformation. This, I would say, is a coming-of-age novel, so Melinda is having a huge transformation throughout the course of the book. She goes from being, basically, as she says in the book, a social pariah, and she has to come to terms with her rape and speak up, and in order to, I guess, heal from the rape, because without speaking up, she was going to forever just be afraid, feel like she doesn't have a voice. So that was a huge part of her transformation throughout the course of the book. She found, I guess, security in her artwork and like stability in her artwork. She met some quality individuals, like the boy, I think his name was David. One of her classmates, I'm almost positive his name is David, but one of her classmates who didn't care that everyone was, shunning her, treating her badly because she called the cops on a stupid party over the summer. Like, he treated her like a human being, and he was one of the people that gave her the strength to eventually speak up, as well as her art teacher, and even a few people that she didn't expect to inspire her to speak up, like her friend Rachel, who was going through the craziest identity crisis over the span of the school year. But her friend Rachel ended up dating Melinda's rapist, and Melinda honestly felt like she could not sit there and watch her former friend date this monster. And when she spoke up initially, it wasn't so like out there. She wrote on a bathroom stall, guys to stay away from, something like that, guys not to date. And she said Andy, and she was surprised to find her friend Ivy showed her a couple days later other people had added on, putting their comments about Andy, and she was able to see that, oh, okay, I'm not the only one who thinks this about him. I should speak up. And when she did, she got backlash from Andy. She got backlash from Rachel, who didn't want to believe her. But, so that's just a risk you have to take when you speak up about something like that, because people are going to try and blame you. People are going to say that you're asking for attention. But, I mean, you know your truth. So I think that was just a huge lesson that that Melinda had to learn. Let's see. Another theme for it would be the friendship theme. Like I said before, she found friendship in a few unlikely individuals, but one friend that she had at the beginning of the year that didn't last until the end of the year was her friend Heather. And Heather and her kind of became friends on a technicality. Neither one of them had another person, and they just started hanging out with each other. But Heather wanted so bad to be popular and be a clone of some other girls at the school, and as a result ended up denouncing her friendship with Melinda and basically telling her that she was too depressing to be around, not even attempting to understand why Melinda was the way she was. And Melinda stood up to Heather at one point in the book, which I didn't think she had a dinner when I was reading it, but I think that's just another, it just ties back into the transformation that Melinda made. She felt like she finally had the strength to stand up to a friend who was walking over her in the past, basically told her what to do, and she just did it. So I think that was a toxic friendship, but also was helpful for Melinda's growth as an individual. I think that this book should definitely, it's probably banned. It's most likely banned or has been banned. But I definitely think that this is a book that, if it's not one that can be taught in the classroom, it should be available to students in the classroom, because it was an easy read to finish in 3 hours, but also it was a captivating read. Like, I didn't want to finish it. Like, I was kind of skipping to the next page, so I wanted to figure out what would happen. I wanted to figure out if her and her partner, science partner, what is his name? Is it David? It's David, right? If her and her science partner David would get together, even though she was very fearful of a relationship with him. And I think it's important to address the effects of rape or any kind of traumatic event on an individual. Something like that, as the book showed, can completely change the personality of a person. You know, she went from being this super bubbly, smiley girl with tons of friends to someone who barely even speaks to her parents. So I think that we, as human beings, need to pay attention to the people around us. If we notice anything that is, I guess, not normal, I guess, out of the ordinary. And it's very easy to notice. Before you know, you point fingers and you try and justify for yourself, like, why someone's acting the way they're acting. Like, it's important to just try and ask someone, like, oh, are you okay? Like, is anything going on? Do you need anything? Stuff like that. And that's just teaching students and everyone in general about just pure compassion, which is a quality that I think that everyone should have. So those were my main takeaways from the book. It's a great book for all ages. I didn't want a sequel. The author talks about, people have asked her for a sequel, but I think that the book stands well, or it stands great on its own. But overall, I thought that this was a great book, a great choice for our group, book club, whatever you want to call it. And I am very satisfied with it, and I would recommend it to anyone. So, bye.